Good morning. It is Monday, October 27th, 2025. I'm standing in Riverside at the bottom of Spring Street, continuing the Monitors project of visiting all the parks in the city, from smallest to largest. We started at park number 162, and we have now worked our way up to park number 40. At 23.17 acres, it is the Waabizheshikana Trail, which means the Marten Trail. And we are standing at the current western terminus of the Waabizheshikana. It currently ends at Spring Street. The city ultimately has dreams of extending this trail all the way out to Chambers Grove. Currently, there's no segment built between here and Morgan Park, and then in Morgan Park, there's an orphan segment that's built, maybe 3/4 of a mile or so, and then nothing past there at this point. The Waabizheshikana Trail starts on 63rd Avenue West and winds its way along the shore of the estuary. I think it's probably about 4 miles, but there'll be signs here to let me know exactly about that. And you also have a map here. So you can see the dotted black line, how that winds around like that. We're at the far western end there, where that red dot is. Definitely not going to walk the whole trail today. That would just take too long and be too long of a video. Beautiful sunrise. The Spirit Lake Marina is right down there. And this factory here, I forget the name of it. They manufacture things for, like, ingredients for candy, I'm told. So there are still railroad tracks out here. The Lake Superior and Mississippi Railroad uses these tracks. Duluth's first railroad still runs an excursion train. And there's still this actual business factory out here that utilizes these tracks as well. This was formerly known as the Western Waterfront Trail. It was renamed in 2019. I like the new name better. It's more descriptive, less generic. The only issue was learning how to pronounce it. For the longest time, I would just give up. I'd be like, the Waba, Wabi, and give up, which is what most people do. But then I just figured, why not learn it? It's a word. In 2020, when the schools were closed for COVID, my kids and I embarked on a project where we took a walk every day, minimum of 3 miles, with a longer one on Saturday. And we did a lot of trails, and we also had certain ones that we did more than once, many times actually. We did this loop that included the Waabizheshikana, and while we were walking on that, I would just say the word to myself over and over until I finally got it. There's some railroad tankers full of whatever they use here. The Waabizheshikana is not really a trail that offers a ton of solitude or isolation. Most of the way there's houses right next to it, or right above it. Winds around Indian Point, the Indian Point campground. Looks like we got a couple of rabbits in the road up ahead. So this park should actually probably be bigger because of that new segment in Morgan Park. I don't think the total acreage included that segment, so by rights, this one should be farther up the list. Here's one of these mile posts. So yeah, so we're 3 miles from the beginning of it at 63rd Avenue West. So this is what, just under 3.5 miles. This little section here, well, I have a lot of history with this. So there's offshore, there's one long island. And then it forms a little protected bay in here. It's called Kayak Bay, or people call it Kayak Bay. The thing is, that name was bestowed upon it by developers, and it just kind of hanging around. It's not an official name as far as I know. But you can see the houses up there. So right now, across from the base of Spirit Mountain, across Grand Avenue, there's that whole development going in with lots of this type of housing and commercial and such. Back in, I don't know, 2019, 2020 or something, before any of that development had begun, the developers had the land. It was all assembled, but no building had begun. And they really wanted a park to be developed down here on what they called Kayak Bay, directly adjacent to their development. And the city really wanted to do that for them. And so the city began working diligently to build a park down here. And one of the steps they had to take was get it approved by the Parks Commission. And they made a valiant effort. They gave presentation after presentation. Then when the Parks Board initially tabled it, they called in city councilors to push for this to be established as a park. And even that didn't work. The Parks Commission voted no. We do not. Well, it wasn't actually about the park. It was they wanted to extend a road down from Grand over the railroad tracks and then down here, and then in preparation for building that park. And the Parks Commission said, no, we don't want the road to go over the tracks. We want it to stop at the tracks and leave this part down here without road access, other than this trail the Waabizheshikana trail was here. So they voted no, which was quite a shock, because that may be the only time the Parks Commission has voted no on something like that. And it's very eye-opening, because Mayor Emily Larson vetoed their vote. Said they're only a body that makes recommendations. I'm ignoring that. I'm vetoing that. We are building that road down there. And that didn't sit well with the Parks Commission. And they got very upset. And they said it had destroyed their trust and whatever. Which sounds dramatic, but really, when that kind of stuff happens, it lasts about 6 months. Like, does anybody even remember that story besides me? So their trust was quote unquote shattered. And the city worked very hard to get the road down here, and yet they still failed. Not because they didn't try, but because they could not get the railroad to agree to an easement across their tracks, despite their best efforts. And so that never happened. The road was never built, after all. All that trust was shattered for nothing. Ooh, there's deer up there. All that trust was shattered for nothing. Spirit Mountain's water line. Spirit Mountain in 2015 built a $6 million water line down into the river to draw water for snowmaking that goes across this bay. And you can see that in the middle there's a place where there's no trees. The water line actually goes right through the island. That was dredged out, and it goes out into the river then, and draws water for snowmaking. You can see the pump house there. That's the lower pump house, and then it's transported up the hill to the base of Spirit Mountain, where there's a bigger pump house, and then from there distributed throughout the hill in their pipe system. Maybe 12 years ago, this used to be all pretty filled in with vegetation and weeds and even trees. This whole bay was gradually filling in. The DNR did some dredge work in here, opened it up. It's still no more than 5 feet deep, but they opened it up, and there's actually a little channel that goes along out that way that you can access. Why is my phone getting blurry? There you go. Park number 40, Waabizheshikana, the Marten Trail. Thanks for watching.